The Toronto Raptors have had an absolute victory in the NBA 2021 draft lottery, moving up to the 4th overall pick. And today's video, I'm going to be talking about what this means and how this helps shift the new era of Toronto Raptors basketball even further post-NBA championship, post-Kawhi Leonard, and potentially post the Kyle Lowry era, a full passing of the torch. Of course, there's already the likes of OG Anunoby, Fred VanVleet, and Pascal Siakam on the roster, but Malachi Flynn is a new emerging rookie. Jalen Harris showed some very promising bursts at the end of the season. Gary Trent Jr. is newly acquired, and there's now going to be a new young up-and-coming star added to this roster on a Raptors team that hopefully will be back in Toronto this year, back to actually having some amount of home games in front of fans. And it's going to be a very interesting, fun, and exciting new era of Toronto Raptors basketball. And that's what we're going to be talking about in this video. With that being said, if you guys do enjoy and want more thoughts on the lottery and season previews or off-season previews and what I think that some teams could do in the off-season or should do in the off-season, then be sure to like and subscribe for more videos. I will be doing one on every single team in the NBA. Let me know who you want next if you want a certain team in particular, but they're all going to be coming, guaranteed. And so, obviously, the Toronto Raptors moving up to the 4th overall pick is a big deal here. They were projected to be number 7, and there was a big leap from 7 to 4 in this draft. The top 4/top 5 is quite good, but after that, there is a bit of a drop-off. It is still a fairly deep draft, but there is a significant drop-off here. There's a consensus amongst some scouts that the top 4 in a lot of years' drafts would all be respective first overall picks in their own right. So the fact that the Raptors were able to move into this 4th spot is very crucial. They're going to be able to get whoever is left on the board of Evan Mobley and then to Jalen's. You really can't go wrong here. You can argue who fits best for the team. Of course, the Raptors need a center. Mobley would be great. But you're getting an absolutely brilliant up-and-coming young talent regardless, and you just can't be mad at that regardless of how it goes. And I'm a Toronto Raptors fan. That's coming from a Raptors fan. You just can't be mad at it. It's an absolute victory. And so, in saying that, I'm just going to be trying to give my as unbiased opinion as I can on the Toronto Raptors moving into this offseason and what they could look to do. So here's what we're projecting on the roster for next season as of right now. Siakam, on his max deal, he will be getting paid $31 million next year. He's locked up for another 3 years. I don't see him going anywhere anytime soon. I know he's been mixed into some Ben Simmons trades alongside a sign-and trade with Kyle Lowry. There's been talks of him to Portland and some CJ trades and just general trades because of apparently disgruntlements because of him and Nick Nurse. Now I understand there was some times throughout the year last year where him and Nick Nurse didn't have the best of understandings, but that's any player and coach. If you think that every player and coach just gets along all the time and great and don't have conflicts, I mean, that's just not the way it is. People work with other people in daily jobs that aren't in the NBA, and they have conflicts with other people. It doesn't mean that something isn't going to be resolved and things can't improve. I don't have any concerns about the relationship between Pascal Siakam and Nick Nurse. Moving on, Fred VanVleet looks to be the future starting guard. I hope not point guard. He's not a playmaker. He's naturally a shooting guard. He's just the height of a point guard, but he will be taking over a bigger role with the presumed absence of Kyle Lowry this summer, whether that is via free agency or a sign and trade. There is also Chris Boucher, who will be returning on the 2nd year of his deal after being one of the most improved players in the league last year. OG Anunoby is going to be getting paid $16 million on his new deal kicks in. And then we also have Malachi Flynn on his 2nd year. And then potentially Yuta Watanabe, Gillespie, Paul Watson, Bembry, Flynn, and Rodney Hood, who all could come back but are all on non-guaranteed contracts. And so it leaves the Raptors with the core of this moving forward. Siakam, Fred VanVleet, Chris Boucher, OG Anunoby, Malachi Flynn. Jalen Harris will definitely come back after he showed good signs at the end of last year after being a late 2nd round pick. And that's kind of the core guys that the Raptors are going to kind of look to build around, including whoever they take at the 4th overall pick, which is most likely to be a guard. I would expect Mobley to go 2 or 3. So you are going to have VanVleet, Gary Trent Jr., Malachi Flynn, and whoever you take at guard. And that's your 4 guards for as long as you want them to be. Your small forward's OG, your Siakam, it's power forward. But again, the main issue for the Raptors is going to be center this summer. They have to figure out what they want to do at the center position. There aren't that many free agent centers that are of high quality. If you're looking at the free agency center market, you're looking at Drummond, who I personally do not want. I don't think he's that good. You're looking at Richaun Holmes, who I've already made a video about, I think is a very good NBA center, and full kudos to him for turning around his career from being a guy who just really wasn't valued that much on all those terrible Philadelphia teams during the tanking process to now making himself very valuable with Sacramento. But I think he's going to get overpaid due to some of the production being a bit inflated in Sacramento, and the fact that centers just often get overpaid, in my opinion, because centers, you need a center who can rebound for you and can protect the rim, but after that, if you're not an elite center like the likes of Embiid and Nikola Jokic, you get the likes of Rudy Gobert, who get a max contract. And Rudy Gobert is elite defensively at the rim, but he is not a max contract player. You can never convince me of that. His offense isn't there. His perimeter defense isn't there. He's just not a max contract player. You need to offer an elite level on both sides of the ball and all facets of the game, in my opinion, to be a max contract player, and that's just not Rudy Gobert. And Richaun Holmes is probably going to get 15 plus million, and I just don't think he's worth that, because I think you can get someone who can do a large percentage of what he can do for probably half the price. That being said, Richaun Holmes is there, Nerlens Noel is going to be there, and Keem Birch is also going to be an interesting option, a Montreal boy, someone who would love to stay and play in Toronto, who the Raptors picked up off of a buyout from Orlando during the last season, and played surprisingly well for the Raptors. Him and Lowry developed a good connection. It will remain to be seen if he can develop as good of a connection with someone new on the Toronto Raptors roster. But he played arguably the best basketball of his career in his 4th year, I believe it was last year, in his stint with the Raptors. And depending on what the price of the likes of Nerlens Noel and Richaun Holmes go for, it's quite possible they just stick with Keem Birch. Of course, you'd love to be able to make a trade for someone like Miles Turner, but I don't think that's likely. I don't think they have the assets on the roster that they're willing to part with to acquire someone like the caliber of Miles Turner. And so that's priority number 1 for the Raptors this season, is they have to figure out who they have at center, because the Aaron Baines experiment was terrible last year. His team option will most certainly not be picked up, and so a center needs to be acquired. Priority number 2 needs to be Gary Trent Jr. is a restricted free agent. He needs to be extended. Needs to be, period. There are some slight injury concerns with him. He has had some injury concerns in his first few years in the league, but he is an elite shot maker, catch and shoot off the dribble from deep. He is very good. His mid-range and in the paint ability definitely needs some work, but he is still very young. He is 22 still. 22. He's a restricted free agent. He's very young. He has a lot of growth potential. He's very good at on-ball defense as well. He works very hard. He's tenacious, and he looks to improve his game year in, year out, as we've seen in his time in Portland. He really got hot in the bubble and was good last year in CJ McCollum's absence when he was put into the starting lineup, and he played similarly well for Toronto as well before his injury. And that's really the 2 priorities for Toronto this summer. They take their number 4 overall pick. Player development in Toronto. Player development in Toronto is always great. That should be a great spot for whoever they get out of the 2 Jalen's or Evan Mobley to absolutely develop into the star that they have the potential to be. And then locking up Gary Trent, because Gary Trent, I think, has a large role in the future of this team. That being said, that is my thoughts on the Toronto Raptors moving into this summer. I will be doing a season preview video for the Toronto Raptors and all other 30 NBA teams post-draft, post-offseason, free agency, all that good stuff. So we actually have an idea of what the roster is. But that is my thoughts on the roster as of right now, and what we could be, or they should be doing as we move into the offseason. Let me know your thoughts regarding the current Toronto Raptors roster, and what you think they could or should do moving into this summer's offseason. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Have a great rest of your day, and I will see you guys in the next one.